3, 2, 1, go!
What's going on, guys? Kyle Bradshaw here, and welcome to our first look at the brand new Tusk 2Track tires from Rocky Mountain ATVMC. Yep, they're super late to the tire game, at least the adventure tire game, but it looks like they've taken a look at what works for everyone else and have employed it here on these, the brand new Tusk 2Track. Now these arrived just a couple days ago, and I've done a couple quick little videos showing you some of the things that are comparable between these and some of the other tires that are out there. But this is going to be the full detailed breakdown on what I'm seeing when I look at tread patterns, what I see when I'm looking at durometer readings and tread depths, lug positioning and things of that nature. So why don't you grab a cold beverage, sit back and relax, and let's do the deep dive on the Tusk 2Track from Rocky Mountain. Now before we dig in, there are links to these two tires down below. Right now they are available only in the 99-21 and the 150-70-18. There are more tires coming, Tusk says, so make sure you take a look and see when those are going to be available. Now, those links are great, and I'd love it if you'd take a click to those, go take a look at the website, and if you want to run these at the same time I'm running them, I would love to do a comparison video of what I'm feeling versus what you're feeling. If you want to send me some video clips, I'll be happy to include those in my final review of this tire. Yes, get out there, get them dirty, and give me some little clips of you in front of your tires, in front of your motorcycle, with some gorgeous views in the background, hopefully, and I'll get you into that final tire test video. All right, now let's get into the features, benefits, and details that we see looking at the Tusk 2Track. Now, all of you have been asking for a unicorn tire for years. You want the longest longevity possible. You want a tire that sticks well in wet and cold weather. You want something that evacuates mud extremely easy, that has lots of bite, lots of grip. You're just looking for that perfect tire. Now, Tusk has come out with this here. Now, I did a short on this the other day and also posted on Instagram, but this tire very much mimics a lot of the characteristics that you see from one of the top adventure tires in the marketplace. The Motoz Tractionator Adventure and the Motoz Tractionator Rally tire. Now the Adventure and Rally tire are about 15% or so, I'd say, different in the amount of aggressiveness that they offer. And this tire seems to be a mixture of both of those when you look at the two side by side. Now the biggest differentiator between this tire and any of the Motoz tires that I just talked about is the price. You can get a set of these Tusk 2Track adventure tires in the 90-90-21 and the 150-70-18 for about $210. It's incredible. Now, why am I mentioning that other brand so much? Because this really is the closest comparison, or that's the closest tire that I can really compare to these when it comes to the tread depth, when it comes to the durometer reading, when it comes to everything about these tires, really. Probably the biggest difference is this tire here is made in China, whereas the Motoz is made in Thailand. This 2Track was developed from the Rocky Mountain team up there in Utah, and the Motoz are developed in or designed in Australia. So two different parts of the world where the tires are designed, although a lot of our riding conditions are very similar. The desert that we have here in Southern California versus over there in Australia, very similar conditions. So we're talking about guys that are using these tires in similar types of terrain, developing a tire that they want to do the best. Get great mileage, get great grip, and just do the job really well. So right off the bat, let's take a look at the durometer reading. Now this is going to be a little interesting because the last time I checked the durometer reading on this, it was like 50 degrees first thing in the morning. Now checking the durometer reading, it's only like 50 degrees out here. We're looking at close to 80 on the durometer. Let's jump over to the Adventure, and we're looking a little bit softer. And the Rally, we're looking a little bit softer yet. Right now, it's almost 70 degrees, and it's beautiful and sunny, and these have been sitting out here for a little bit. So here in the warm weather, it looks like we're getting a reading of 72 on the durometer reading for this rear tire. And here on the front, looks like right around 74, 75. So when it's bright and sunny outside and these things are warmed up, you can see that we're going to have a softer tread compound, obviously, than when it's cold. Now let's take a look at tread depth over here. Getting my tread depth indicator. I am reading right around 15 millimeters here. Hopefully you can see that. And that's going to equate to right around 1930 seconds is what I'm seeing over here. Over here on the front, we have significantly less tread depth. We're looking at right around 1430 seconds and 18 millimeters. Now, while we have the measuring tools out, there is one thing that concerns me a little bit about these tires, and that is the fact that these sidewalls are extremely stiff. Probably one of the stiffest sidewalls that I have felt next to, say, the Dunlop Trail Max Mission. Yes, significantly stiffer than the Motors, significantly, I mean, they're on par with that Dunlop Trail Max Mission. Now, the concerning part to me about this is taking the tape measure and looking at these special cardboard inserts that they put inside these tires to keep that bead out so they actually seat easily onto, say, the large 4 to 5 inch KTM tubeless wheels, the BMW wheels, the Aprilia Touareg wheels. There's just so many bikes out there right now that have really wide adventure rims. This bead distance, or the distance that this cardboard is holding these tires apart, is about 2.5 inches on the rear. It's not very far at all. And here in the front, we're looking at right around 1 3/4 inches. I mean, that's not very wide of a gap here to start out with in order to get these things to bead easily on those tubeless wheels that I just talked about. So that's going to be interesting. So getting these things spooned on using a Rabiconda or a pneumatic tire machine is probably going to be pretty simple because of the way that that works. But if you're trying to spoon these on by hand with actual tire levers, I think that this really stiff sidewall and carcass is going to be potentially a challenge. Now, the benefit to having a super stiff carcass like this is the fact that you can rail over rocks, you can go to super low pressures, you can have lots of impact that's not going to affect your rim because this carcass is so stiff. A lot of these super stiff tires, the Dunlop Trail Max Mission tire, for example, I had a flat tire on, and I rode that thing for probably 25 miles completely flat, and because that sidewall is so stiff, the tire and the rim, or sorry, the rim was still up off the pavement or off the gravel road that I was on to begin with, and then the pavement, and we didn't have any problem with debeading because there's not that flexion. Versus a really soft tire, if you have that flex in the sidewall, it actually pushes the bead off of the rim down into the drop center, and that becomes a little bit of a situation. I had that with the Mitos tires that I was running when I had that front flat that you guys may have saw in a previous video. But overall, I mean, this tire looks beefy, it looks meaty, it's got great tread depth. Now, when it comes to tread depth, there's a couple things on this tire that I'm seeing that I don't necessarily know if I like or not. The first is going to be this bar right here. This is not the wear bar, by the way, that you see right here. The wear bar is actually right here and right here. I'll show a close-up image of that. We're talking zero tread. Basically, when they're saying that the wear bar on this, the TWI, the tread wear indicator here on the side, is showing that literally when this thing is a complete slick is when you are down to that lowest setting where you should probably change out the tire or it's unsafe to ride anymore. But looking at the side lugs here, we have a couple interesting things. Like this guy right here, you're going to get 2/3 of the way through your tread block here in the center, and you're now going to have a solid block all the way across. You're going to wear down to this bump that's right here. Now that bump is doing something. That bump is actually tying this entire block. This is basically one solid block all the way across, molded into the carcass. That's going to give you extreme stability when you're over there on the side. Another thing is if you take a look at these two lugs right here, we're only sight down. How far is that? Let's take a look at the indicator here. So with this ridge right here, our actual tread depth of this tire is only going to be about 10-30 seconds or 8 millimeters right here before this becomes one solid block of rubber. I find that kind of interesting. Right here, we have this sipe here in this side lug. So this side lug only has 5/30 seconds or 4 millimeters of depth. So by the time you wear through this little section right here, this block is going to go from being two independent blocks that are moving separate from each other to one solid block that's not going to give you any movement at all whatsoever. pretty interesting. I mean, I don't know how it's going to function. We're going to put these things out there on the road and onto the trail to be able to give you an idea of what that looks like and feels like in real time. But those are just some of the things that I'm looking at when I'm looking at the tire. Now, these tires are actually set onto the stand here. This is what the rear tire will look like as if you were looking at the back of your motorcycle. So you're going to see a little bit of a scoop right here. This scoop is going to help hopefully capture media and then be able to fling it to the side. I really like the fact that this groove right here has a block that it hits. That's going to give you great side, or should give you great side hill traction. You start sliding here, you're going to hit this guy right here. The media slips through there and gets caught into this channel right here. That's going to help really allow this tire, I would imagine, to be able to stick onto the hillside and be able to give you some great traction. The other thing I'm noticing is the little cut up right here. So the distance between these two lugs right here in the center is more similar to that of the Motoz Tractionator Adventure. And then the depth or distance that you have between these two blocks here as it tapers down is getting more like the rally tire. So in the center where you're doing the majority of your riding is going to be straight down the center. They put those blocks closer together so you have a smoother ride with less chunking. And then as you start to lean over, they're giving you a little bit more space here that's giving you more grip that you should be able to get out of these tires. Now moving on over to the front tire here, we see the same type of step design over here, which I'm a little bit concerned about. So our overall tread depth that we saw earlier is actually, and check this guy right here. So we're looking at 6/32, right around the 5mm mark. Here is basically the max tread depth that you're going to have before these become solid blocks. Like this is going to become a solid block all the way across, and so is this guy right here. Now the only place on this front tire that you're actually going to have complete tread depth all the way down to the outside of the carcass here is going to be on every third lug, is what we're seeing here. It's going to be interesting. Again, I really like the way that these scoop in the front. This is the direction that your tire would be if you were looking at it from the front of the motorcycle. Now you may think that this tire looks backwards, but it is actually the correct direction. If you look at most of the ADV tires out there, you're going to see this same pattern or directional usage of the lug placement. What this does is this allows you to be able to, when the bike puts its brakes on, you're going to have a scoop here that's going to be gathering that dirt or trying to get traction as your brakes are being applied. It looks backwards, but this is the tire that you're doing primarily. Your traction is for downhill braking and for making sure that the tire is grabbing media, allowing you to be able to come to a stop completely or to get traction or stopping grip as you're going downhill. Versus this tire here, it looks like the tread pattern is reversed, and that is the reason, because this one here is spinning forward. It's actually getting all of its grip when it's rolling forward, where this one's getting all of its grip when it's stopping or going the other direction. So different purposes for the different shapes or tread layout, front tire versus the rear tire. So as a wrap up and in a nutshell, I think Tusk has done a great job at coming out with a tire that should compete pretty darn closely to one of the biggest names in adventure tires, at least one of the most popular adventure tires that you can purchase. Now that other tire manufacturer, they are pretty expensive, but they are a premium rubber, a premium tire that has been proven to be one of the best tires in the marketplace. I mean, all of the big names, I mean, Metzler has one, Michelin has one. One of my favorite tires, the Bridgestone AX41. Now where that Bridgestone AX41 falls short, but I need to correct myself on that. Fall short is his mileage, right? I blow through those things in like 2,000 miles, but they are absolutely amazing. Now, they are super stable on the highway. I get zero wiggles, zero anything like that, and that's because the tread blocks are short, which allows them to wear out quick. So this tire is going to be interesting to see which way that these tires fall into place. They be more like the AX41, or they be more like the Michelin Anarchy Wild. Are they going to perform just like the Motoz? We don't know how these tires are going to perform yet, so I can't wait to get them mounted using my Bradshaw, of course, and then we get them out there on the trail, put them through the adventure tire loop that I've created so we can see just exactly how they stack up compared to the others that have been out there in the space for years. Now Tusk is really late to this adventure tire game, but they have the advantage. They've seen what has worked for all of the other tire brands, and it looks like they've employed many of those things into this particular set of 2-track tires from Tusk. Well, let's get these things mounted up with the Rabiconda, put them on the 1190, and see just how well they hold up. So thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate you. If you like the adventure content, please subscribe down below, hitting that bell icon so you can be notified when new videos are released. If you haven't already, please hit that thumbs up button. That really helps the algorithm. And I would love it if you'd leave a comment down below letting me know what your favorite adventure tire is and what you hope to see out of these tires that you don't out of others in the marketplace. Thank you guys so much for watching. Really appreciate you. Until next time, take care and ride safe out there.